water. Only a little bit of water. Oh, they do have lines. Hi, hello, welcome. Today's a self-read because I feel like it's only fair. Probably should have, that's fine. I feel like so much of what I used to do, at least on here, I feel like so much about me is just like experimentation. And I just come and do whatever. So I'm gonna use the program to do a self read. I don't know, just because see what's up, right? So I did. I don't. I mean, it reads how it reads, and it's still whatever. But I figured out, got some more sleep, stepped away from the program. I figured out why I had the -1 in those places, and it was I was building it from the top down, but the indexes start at 0. So it was like 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But since the index starts at 0, it's actually 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And that's why I had a -1. But since I changed the index to build up, I don't need it to subtract 1 anymore. So it's neither here nor there. But it happens. So blah, blah, blah. Also, shout out to the tech wizardry of Sir Professor Nerdpot Odinson of the North, Rob from Rob's Tarot, in not layman's terms, but better known as Rob, more widely known as Rob, because like that was a game changer. Okay, she's warming up. She's booting up. She's opening the program. There we go. I'm like, come on, girl, don't do this to me. Don't do it to me. Cool. So, oh, oh, I'm gonna have to blow my nose. This is so confusing to me. Let me come over here. Yeah, yeah, that's about the edge. Okay. Yeah, and then we'll just go for it. We'll just see what's up. Excuse me. SELF read READ. I want to say cast. You get more computer wobbles. Tomorrow is 8/8. We're gonna turn all of these on. Turn them on, turn them on, turn them on, turn them on. Well, do I need the it's fine. Oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to blow my nose. Give me a second, I'll be right back. All right, tried to brush my mustache today. I don't know if the tissue didn't. Back up. All right, cool. Let's just go for it. Should I give like some kind of context? Like a what's up with Patrick or current energy? Current energy. energies, just like, the vibe. What's the vibe? Oof, I don't usually get nervous when I do anything. I don't usually get nervous when I do these things. Sometimes, I mean, more often than not, the nerves come after. When it's like, what have I done? What have I done? Whoa, two Diceology cards. Okay. And I took my glasses off. Looks like we have Fire Over Heaven, I Ching number 14. The what's that? From the bottom to the top. The bottom line, third and fourth lines change. So if the bottom line changes and the third line changes, then that becomes water, yin yang yin. And if that fourth line changes, that becomes mountain over water. Mountain over water. Let's go. Cool. Sometimes I like to look at the hexagrams, especially when they shift. This one almost looks like an A, and that's my middle name, or my middle initial. My middle initial. Nine of Swords. Okay. Bringing order to thought, proper delegation of tasks, seeing the internal through the external, prophetic dreams, inspired action, tapping into the other side, and then the Nine of Swords. She is in a bed. Oh, there's something playing out. Oh, that's. I feel like there's a part that's accurate. I feel like it's less like, yeah, I'm still in this phase of life, but I've been like, I feel like every now and then the pressure will start to like build a little bit, but then it'll vent. And recently the pressure has vented. So I'm doing great. Like, thank you. um, but that part at the like on the bed frame, I guess, whatever that is, that feels accurate. Just like I feel like my dreams have been kind of crazy lately. And sometimes you gotta turn up in the dreams. I actually had an interesting dream last night. Wait. Okay. Then we have the Ten of Zones, the Two of Essences, Justice, Taurus, the Sacral Chakra, the Solar Plexus Chakra, and the element of water. The sacral and the solar plexus. Interesting how they came out. The Ten of Zones is the Ten of Swords energy. Two of Essences is the Two of Cups energy. Justice is Justice, and Taurus is Taurus. Before I read the I Ching, the Ten of Zones and the Two of Essences. If I try to read those as they are, when it comes to zones, and I guess zones and essences are like different. Zones is like, you could say an energetic, logical understanding of the world around you, right? Like with air and earth, the zone is the blueprint. It's like the like zoning laws, blueprints, inspections, like all of the things that you do before you build the building, and then earth is like the actual sort of building. Right. So something that would typically kind of sort of go in that element of water, it being like intuitive or whatever, it's actually in the air here. Excuse me. Okay, so there's that. Bringing order to thought. Again, that kind of sort of falls in line with that 10 of zones. Proper delegation of tasks, seeing the internal through the external. 92161663, 892361. We got no, because it's 163 and then 631. There are three swords that are behind her, impaling her. But it's like because she's sort of, it's almost like going down to two. It's like three working its way down to two. So that leaves six going to seven swords above. The seven of swords in the Water Known Tarot for me is the card of birthright. And I mentioned that because of the prophetic dreams inspired action and also proper delegation, things like that, right? Very rich 2 years, a very decade, 2 years. And I'm not surprised that, like, to be, I guess, like where I am within me. And even just, what was that, the day before yesterday? I tend to overthink a lot. I feel like there are things that I pay like no thought to. And then it's like I save thinking on some things to put it all at other things. And like the synergy of like eventualities, honestly, like more so like if there's something that I invest in or if there's something that I work to put out into the world, sometimes, especially depending on what the thing is, like there's a concern of the thing like being misused. And it's like I don't want it to be misused for one. And I also like if it's something that can help people, I don't want the people who could benefit from it to not have access to it, especially because they can afford it. Because like if I go into pharmaceuticals, which I wanted to do for a while, um, it's like I feel like to work to make medicine, but then turn on the news and see like people dying because they can't afford it. I'm like, ugh. But in a whole different arena, in the arena of something that I was like less resistant to than before. It's like as I was like sort of not buying into the fantasy, because there are parts of the fantasy that are reality, you know what I mean? But like as I'm buying into the fantasy of that, and then as I'm confronted with the reality of it, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to do that. And then I talked to somebody a few days ago, and they were like, you do the things that you do with the intentions that you do them for. If other people take it and do whatever with it, like that's beyond you. And I was like, yeah. And that was in relation to the thing that like I was buying into the fantasy and then like reality hit. But then the next day, so like what, the day before yesterday, or was it yesterday? No, I'm pretty sure it was the day before yesterday. The day before yesterday, I was talking to Reem about something completely different. And it just like it triggered something in me that was very like, if I can accept the relinquishing of control over the things that I put out into the world in that arena, why don't I just accept that relinquishing of control in an arena that I actually want to be in? You know what I mean? It's like if this is true for this one thing that like came out of the blue that like I never really wanted to do, and like there, I can see that there are merits around it, but also at the same time, whatever. It's like, why can I apply this lesson or this epiphany or this aha moment in a direction that like I actually sort of like want to grow in? And then for some reason, it was just like, oh. And so, like, that sort of lining up with this Nine of Swords, where it's like this 3-6 that's sort of shifting to a 2-7. Um, not surprised. Also, because of everything else, again, it's been a very decadent 2 years. And so, as I work through different things and more things, it's like those breakthroughs and the relaxing of those walls into barriers, into boundaries, into, monitored entryways. Um, I feel like there are other things that are also sort of coming together, like puzzle pieces that are connecting and different things that, I'm not fighting anymore, or like I'm leaning into. Um, and it's been a journey. And I am like so hungry now. Also, like I haven't eaten yet, so that's fine. Um, yeah, cool. Let's read the I Ching. Why not? 14 to 4. Oh, why do I keep taking my glasses off just to put them back on? 502. Let's say 487. 48753. No. Okay, let's take 10 off. So 477, which is a 711. Eaching number 14, accolades, great praise, gains, and validation. Prognostications of a great harvest. Heaven bestows great blessings. Obeyed the will of the divine. Initiations will not incur any challenges. Be humble and grateful for your blessings, and there should be no guilt in receiving such blessings. You have the resources needed to achieve supreme success and prosperity. To thrive, follow your own path, and most important of all, let others follow theirs. When I do a lot of these self reads these days, I feel like the energy of prosperity is like all over them, which I'm okay. I've gotten to a point in my life that I'm okay with, especially because like I was having this whole conversation with my buddy a year. Was that the top of this year? Or was that the end of last year? Recently. My buddy in London. I don't know if it was at the bottom of last year or if it was at the top of this year. I think it was at the top of this year. Um, I was having this conversation with him about like how I would love to be in a position to like invent and create, and like I feel like it's almost like there are always going to be challenges, obstacles, things to discover, overcome as we go from frontier to frontier, right? As we continue to progress in whatever way. And I feel like there are certain things that like shouldn't necessarily be the bottleneck to advancement and progress, right? Like when it comes to like AI and data centers and stuff, like I feel like environmental impacts and power generation and like cooling, like those shouldn't be bottlenecks to advancement. Like if there's a conversation to be had around I feel like it should be more of like the philosophical and ethical conversations. There shouldn't have to be environmental conversation. You know what I mean? Like it's 2026. We've had thousands of years of technological advancement, and the kill the planet, it's like it's wild to me. Not that I'm not saying that we shouldn't care about how the environment is being impacted. I'm saying that we should have figured out a way to do whatever without impacting the environment. You know what I mean? And I feel like there are other things, like if it came to like droughts or whatever, and the thing was like irrigation or fresh water, it's like I would love to be not necessarily pigeonholed into one thing, but just like tackling large issues or just like contributing in some kind of way. You know what I mean? And not necessarily always in the same role or in the same capacity. And I was telling my friend or whatever, he was like, "So it sounds like what you need is a lot of money. You need a lot of money, like to already have a lot of money to then go and like do this and then go and do that and then go and do this other thing." And like, there are some he's one of my friends that I love to go to when it's time to get like pragmatic and realistic and when it's time to like put something into place, especially if it's already been done before, especially if it's tried and true. He's my go-to. But when it comes to like things that don't exist or things that aren't the status quo or things that aren't whatever, he's not my first choice. Because I'm like a Pisces, and he's whatever zodiac sign he is, moon and sun and moon, and it makes sense. He's one of those people. It makes sense. I'm so like I feel like there are enough people whose sun and moon are different that it's almost kind of bizarre, maybe, to see someone who's like sun and moon are the same. You know what I mean? Like who someone is when they're like at rest is I feel like usually typically different than who someone is they're like excited. That excitement being like anger, being extreme joy, being like anything. Like usually like there's a little bit of a shift, right? Like, oh, usually you're so calm, but like, I've never seen like your eyes so wide and you smile so big and your voice like raise octaves and pitches like, oh my gosh, what? You know what I mean? And then there's just like a consistency that I'm just like, whoa. Anyway, um, and of course, it's been a source of like tension in the past, but it's almost like I can take the aspects of potential grounding and just like leave the rest, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? I can take what I need and then just like disregard the rest. Not a complete disregard, but put it into perspective, right? Like this is a framework, or a lot of times, like what is successful? What has proven success in the real world? And my thing is like, if we only do what is proven to be successful, then there would never be any progress ever. Like no one would ever do anything new or different or challenge the status quo. Things would never improve, evolve, and change for the better, sometimes for the worse. Anyway, the whole thing, like, I feel like, and I guess it's interesting. So, if we break down the last 5 years, so it'll be 5 years at the end of the month. I got my first big boy job, meaning my first like job out of college, right? When I wasn't being paid a student salary, part time. Or, I mean, I worked over the summer, but still, like student salaries. Anyway, um, and when I got that job, I experienced for the first time how shallow my love of money is. Like, I was good, and like I could afford to do pretty much anything I wanted, basically. I could like I got this phone eventually. I got like a new TV. I got my PlayStation 5. I to London with money. A PTO. It's like what I'm not at work, still getting paid. This is wild. I ain't been to London with money often, but when I went with money, it was a completely different experience. I mean, it was a similar experience. It was the same experience. It was just like a weight off of my mind of like needing to necessarily be like extra conscientious about like all of my, you know what I mean? Just living is the same. And I was like, I don't like, I feel like I didn't have a concept of what it would be like to have even more money. And then the job after that, I moved out. I had my own place, so I had bills. I had money and bills. And for the by and large, for the most part, I was like very comfortable. And like there wasn't anything I really wanted to because I had already gotten what I wanted. And now I'm like, I used to be all about the latest tech, and I'm just not that way anymore. Again, like when I had the money, it kind of changed me because I'm just like, my phone is good enough, and my TV is good enough. There's not a new PlayStation. I mean, there is, but I don't need it because my PlayStation is good enough. It's like satisfied, content, right? And so I haven't really had a concept before this past 2 years of what to feasibly do with like monetary prosperity, right? Especially if it's prosperity the to the degree that the, the stuff is coming out to say, you know what I mean? And now I have again a much better idea. Not only in terms of like distribution of wealth, but also like the things that I would like actively want to invest in, right? Like the things I would want to fund. You know what I mean? So anyway, cool. Be humble and grateful for your blessings, and there should be no guilt in receiving such blessings. Life has put me in a situation where I cannot be guilty. I can't be because, like I said, fortunately, I didn't think there was no. I didn't think I'd still be unemployed for as long as I have been. But again, it's like where the goal is, like the things that I'm aiming for, like everything now is leagues ahead and further than like where I was. And I think the last time I did a self read, it may have been that personal interview spread where the King of Cups came out as the way like I protect myself. And like even though I still like there are times where I still have to like do that, where it's like I have to feel through the imposter syndrome and all of these other things. And it's kind of wild because it's like when I look back and then when I take stock of who and how I am, there's a lot of things that are like less daunting. And it's like, oh, like I've done this and I've done that. And like this is my background and this is who and how I am. So like I'll be fine. I'll be fine. And it's just like, do it anyway. So anyway, to thrive, follow your own path, and most important of all, let others follow theirs. Cool. And that shifts into teaching number 4. So if I take 10 off of 477, that'll give me the 467. A little bit of math will save you some scrolling. Inexperience and naivety or naivete. You are focused on the wrong inquiry. Divination does not seek out the inexperienced fool. The inexperienced fool seeks out divination. The divination here shall give no further information unless the inexperienced fool can return with the proper right teacher to learn the right attitude. Be aware of your inexperience. Ignorance is pervasive, yet to err is not evil. It is naivete and a result of inexperience. Do not seek out divination again until you have mastered the teaching. I'm glad that this is what it's shifted into. We started with the 14 and then shifted into the okay, take that, digest it, put that into action, put that into play, and then come back. I feel like I can interpret this in a way of like there's been, I think that energy of the Nine of Swords is correct, where it's just like a lot of mental whatever. It's not to the point of like anxiety and sleepless nights and like breaking down, but it is like, I feel like a lot of, if the last read was about gathering internal momentum and then acting, it's like there's been a lot of like momentum sort of like gathering and gathered. And I don't know if it's necessarily to the point of like cracking the vessel. You know what I mean? It's reaching critical mass. Maybe. Maybe that's why I'm like, I can't play PlayStation today. Like, I need to increase the amount, like, I need to shift the ratio of like productive to not like what's the word? It's not medicative. Like because you know you can't do brain all the time. Sometimes you got to shut your brain off, give it a rest. Just like shifting that balance. And I feel like there have been seasons. Yeah, it comes and goes in seasons because there'll be seasons where there's like a lot of internal growth, especially like mentally and emotionally, like internally and interpersonally. Also, there'll be times of like spiritual growth too. Spiritual growth, oof, girl. There'll be times of spiritual exploration, maybe. I mean, I'm sure it's growth. Yeah, yeah. It just, I don't know if I'd call it growth. I would not call it growth, but anyway, like I'll go through times of like doing this, and then I'll do, you know, and then I'll gain some experience. I'll have another breakthrough, or I'll shift, or I'll pivot, or like something else will come up, and then I'll integrate that, right? Um, and it shifts on the first. See, I'm actually gonna grab the Dow Oracle. Sorry, but if I can't do it for you, I have to do it for me. You know what I mean? That's because like yesterday, last night, I was like, oh, I don't feel like getting up. This is the lesson I've had to learn. Usually I get up for everybody else and I sit down for me. But this time I gotta get up for me, even if I have to sit down for everybody else. Ooh. Okay. Where's the Dow Oracle? Oops. The TAL. You know what's interesting? Oops. It's interesting that TAL is like Dow because, oops, at least, and Dow may not be a Mandarin word, but at least in Mandarin, T's have like, no, wait. Am I thinking of T's or C's? I may be thinking about C's. I think maybe C's sound like T's or S's. I forget now that I'm trying to do too much with my say. Focus. I haven't used the Tarot Apocalypse in a hot minute. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to grab it, but okay. Also, I've been like craving beans and I haven't had enough. The people in the house rejoice. The people that I live with are rejoicing that I haven't had as many beans as I've been craving. Anyway, okay. I was gonna look at the Archangel Power cards. That either. Well, because the birds didn't go there, so that's why I didn't do it. Sometimes you gotta follow the energy, even if it isn't necessarily what you had planned on doing, even if it isn't necessarily what you want to do. You gotta follow the energy, or you could, fight against it. Do whatever. It's your life, and do what you're gonna do. Where is the Tao Oracle? I've been all up and down this thing. Oh, it's here. The top of the box doesn't say anything, so I kept overlooking it. Cool. Excuse me. I mean, I guess I could. Now, I guess that also makes sense. Shifting between that, like on the 3-6 polarity, shifting into the 2-7 polarity. What makes sense, I guess the Two of Swords is a solar eclipse, isn't it? And one of those is coming up. I'm back. Wait, what is it? Ooh. So the Three of Swords in the SKT in the same deck, where the Seven of Swords is my card of birthright, but it's a birthright that basically like we mature into, that we grow into. Let me see if I can shift this. Boom, there we go. It's a birthright that we mature into, right? It's not necessarily one that we're just given. I mean, I guess we are. I don't know. Like for that one in particular, that's one that we mature into. It's one whose activation is conditional, right? Once you reach the certain age, then you have access to whatever type energy. Maybe I'll use the big deck today. I haven't used the SKT in a minute, which is kind of strange for me. Although it's not really. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the shifting lines. I want to read the shifting lines between 14 and oh goodness. I'm just clicking everything. I'm clicking everything, minimizing all of the windows. Okay. Was that resoluteness? Open the book to resoluteness number 43. There's 18, there's 16, 13, 15. Okay, the 14 in between. Prosperity number 4. Bottom line, the third line, and the fourth lines shift. So the bottom line, this line was made for the familiar. This line was made for the familiar adage, don't count your chickens before they hatch. It might look like you have a whole coop full of future chickens who in turn promise to deliver even more eggs, but there are some hungry foxes out there, and pretty soon word is likely to spread around the fox world that you're keeping a feast in your barn. No need to be paranoid or greedy, but do be alert to the fact that some unexpected difficulties might lie ahead. In general, I'm not necessarily the kind of person that remains aware of the envy or whatever of other people. Not to, well, not to say that I'm like naive, but also not to say that I'm not oblivious sometimes. You know what I mean? Unless it's like, I don't, like if it's threatening, I feel like that's one thing. But if it's not, then I'm like, I got stuff to do. You see that Nine of Swords? It's too much on my mind for me to start worrying about other people, especially in that capacity. You know what I mean? In a capacity of like, oh, like, something's going on with my friend. How can I help? Some days I have less capacity, honestly, these days. That's why I think it was Crystal, maybe Robert's one. I don't remember. I don't know if I have the capacity for personal reads right now. That's why I was like, but I also feel like too, it kind of depends. But in general, the capacity is not there right now. Yeah, but anyway, it's like there's been a lot of like be mindful of like the malicious actions of envious people around you. I'm just like, no need to be paranoid or greedy, but do be alert to the fact that some unexpected difficulties might lay ahead. You know what? Because we're dealing in the context that we're dealing with, the fox is that card. The fox is on that card, the Seven of Swords. It's the fox that reveals the seventh sword. So, well, it was also the fox, because in the, is it an Aesop's fable about the fox and the crow? But it's like something is doing to the fox what the fox did to the crow. I kind of want to dig into that. Maybe I'll take a note. I could type it in the chat. I'll type it in the chat. It's right there. Why not? So, fox and seven of swords. Okay. And I feel like in general, you could say it's like a carrot on a stick. That's kind of been this like in this 2 years, especially as I've been like growing more and more and evolving more and more and considering more and more, limiting myself less and less, opening up more and more to like different possibilities and potentialities. It has been this like, and there have been times when I'm like counting chickens. I'm like, ooh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The price of eggs is high. Set. And not set, but I'm about to be set. And then none of the chickens hatch. And then, well, then you know, the coops done burned down. The the foxes come and eating the chickens. A tornado came in, and now my chickens are in Kansas. Some of them in Kansas, some of them in Oz. They trying to get to each other, but ain't none of it coming back to me. But every time, it's like every time things haven't worked out the way that I thought they would have at that point in time. Like again, like I've been grateful because there are more ways that I've continued to grow, evolve, and change, and my worldview has continued to expand. It's almost like my perceived capacity to fulfill my potential is catching up to what that capacity to fill my potential actually is. Because again, especially, and it's, I guess it's kind of interesting. It's an interesting like Pisces, but that's the thing about Pisces is two fish, right? Because it's like while I would simultaneously sort of like dream these dreams or feel these, I guess it's not unique. I feel like actually like it's a, well, it's a fairly common human experience because it's like, you know, sort of dreaming up all of these things that I didn't, like, that I wouldn't actually do. And who's to say within the past 2 years specific? I feel like in that first 6 months to a year, I feel like until 2025, and that happened June of 2024. So yeah, for that first 6 to 9 months, I wouldn't have, it would have been a lot more precarious of a situation. on whether or not I would have actually like taken certain opportunities. Like I was putting myself out there, I was applying because that's what the lesson was, right? And I wanted to prove to me that I was learning and I was feeling good, you know? But if, like, again, if opportunity would have actually found me, there is a non insignificant chance that I would have found some way to psych myself out or I would have found some way to not go through with it. You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily the same now, but it was then. And so it's like every time something happened to the chickens, I, like, it was for a reason. And even in the moment, I could tell it was for a reason. You know, I feel like a lot of things, a lot of times, happen for a reason. And I think sometimes if there isn't a reason, we can always give things a reason. And I'd rather, if I have the option, I'd rather give something a good reason. You know what I mean? Anyway, the journey to prosperity. That was the bottom line. The third and fourth lines also change. Knowing how to create wealth is a talent just as much as painting or composing music. And just as musicians and artists are really good business people, so good business people are rarely great artists. I've read this before. This third line has changed before. Sometimes the two types of talents can combine forces in an atmosphere of mutual respect, and that's when something can happen that benefits the larger community. A music school, a free concert, a program for kids that encourages their creative expression, for example. Whatever side of the equation you find yourself on, now is a good time to join with others whose talents might be quite different from yours and make something happen that benefits a greater whole. Line 4, even if the coins are not jingling in your own private pockets, remember that existence is always generous enough to include you too. Don't squander the opportunity to pick and choose from the abundant resources that are available to you now just because you're too busy envying somebody else's new tailor-made suit. I don't envy people in general. Like, I'm inspired by people and I celebrate people. You know what I mean? And I don't envy things. Like, I remember being younger and I don't know. It's kind of wild because this, like, to this person, they may not have even, but I remember being younger and felt by, like, this was before I came out and when I was still like coming to terms with other things, and I just felt so like constricted in a lot of ways, or like I had to like monitor, I had to self police a lot. I felt like I had to self police a lot. And there was one person who I just viewed as almost like confident and carefree and like they didn't have to do that. And I was like inspired by that person. I wasn't envious or I felt that they had some kind of liberation that I didn't have. And again, like I don't envy things and stuff because that's just stuff. I'm inspired by a lot of people. Anyway, what else did that say? I already done closed the book and everything. Oh, I opened to it. Prosperity. Even if the coins are not jingling in your own private pockets, remember that existence is always generous enough to include you. Yeah, maybe that just speaks to it again. I have been well taken care of in these past few years, both with things that I've initiated and I feel like things that I didn't even expect. And I got one of those. I was like, because like I'm doing a lot of, not a lot of. Again, I've gotten a lot of support over these past few years, and a lot of it planted that bore fruit when I needed it, right? So like things that I may have invested in, and then again, like I'm still in the situation, but the investments have like multiplied, and it's like, okay, this will take care of me for a hot minute. And I just had one of those, and I'm like, okay, like that's the that like the storehouse is running pretty empty now. I'm not at the end of my rope, but I'm feeling pretty close. I'm like, if this are to continue for too much longer, we're gonna be in some serious terror. You know what I mean? And again, it's like I got a little bit more rope, and I'm like, whoo. So I definitely realized, and two, like I feel like it's given me the ability to remain present with myself in this phase of my journey. You know what I mean? And it's interesting because it's not all too dissimilar from early 2019, from like literally the beginning of my journey, where it's like I had rent due and I had some savings. I got my taxes at the top of the year. I eventually started working over the summer, but I didn't know that at, January, February. And there were lessons like I was learning to depend on family after I was in this, like, I was in the throes of it, girl. The darkest night was very dark indeed. And there were a lot of things that needed to be mended, and difficulty, challenge was the crucible that those things were mended in. Post darkest night, difficulty was the crucible that those things were like mended in and healed in, and that the growth was found in. Pre darkest night, girl, it would have just broke me. Honestly, uh, I'm sure there were quite a few times where it did. Um, but yeah, that's the crucible through which like the healing and the mending happens, and like I was supported through that, just like as I've been supported through this. And yeah, don't squander the opportunity to pick and choose from the abundant resources that are available to you now. See, I feel like that's part of the reason why this prosperity shifted into naivete. And I'm like, I've been feeling it. I've been feeling it strong. And so it's like take what you've learned, take where you are, and seize the opportunity. And it's interesting how something my brain just went. I guess it's interesting how it's positioned almost at like more divination or more seeking, asking for more signs or more conversations, more pondering, more thinking. If I posit it in the way of like more thinking isn't going to be helpful, it makes sense. But it's interesting if it's like asking for more synchronicities, or more, not even asking, but like more conversation doesn't need to happen right now. What you need to do is what you need to do, type energy, and don't come back until you do it. Also, like I'm the type of person that I feel like if you've watched me for some point in time, or if you just maybe it's become apparent outside of the like past toxic, I don't want to have to rely on anybody, even if I am in the throes of it. I'd rather be in the throes of it alone than have to depend on or rely on anybody else for reason. They back there. But there's a lot of things that it's like if I can do it, I'd prefer to do it. Not necessarily alone. Like I'm always down, especially for like good advice or helpful advice. I'm always down to at least listen. More often than not, I'm down to at least listen. Unless it's something that the Taurus in me is like, I got this and I'm gonna figure this out and I'm taking my own path. So while I appreciate the sentiment, there's nothing you can do to help me because my path is mine, your path is yours. And if I am to look at your life and your path, it's not that there is not, again, it's not that there isn't anything valuable, but like it's different over here, right? If you start in California and you're going to Florida, you head east. If I'm starting in London and I'm going to Florida, if I go east, I'm going to have to circle almost the whole globe. It would be quicker for me to go west because we're starting at two different points, two different frames of reference, and we two different people, right? Maybe you could drive, but I can't drive over water or underwater. At some point, I'm going to have to get on a boat or fly. You know what I mean? Anyway, anyway. Um, yeah, don't squander opportunities. There is plenty there for the picking. Is the shifting fourth line. Shifting third line was about collaboration, community, cooperation, and impact. The bottom line was um, being alert to the fact that some unexpected difficulties might lie ahead. And honestly, I feel like I'm expecting it's almost like because I'm expecting difficulties, it might be easier. And I feel like that's another thing that's different between who I am now and who I used to be. That like if I'm less hesitant, I am significantly less hesitant to use my network and to use my resources. I'm significantly less hesitant to use my resources to use my network because anyway. And so it's almost one of those like it may not even be as challenging as I'm necessarily expecting it to be, or it may not be as challenging as I had expected it to be in the past. And it was that imagined challenge that would have kept me from taking certain opportunities if I had been offered them before. Right. I mean, it said don't seek any further divination. So, because I am like, wow, is this another self read where it's just me talking about where I've been and how I am putting my healing into play as I am journeying my journeying today. And less like, I don't know, what do I even do here? I'm like, what do I feel like sometimes it's not that it's necessarily like predictive elements. Sometimes it is a little bit like, hey, these are some underlying energies that look like they're coming to the surface. So don't be surprised if something were to spring up because there's a lump over there. And that's where you planted a seed. So, there's a non impossible chance that something is about to germinate and sprout. Because that's like you see the lump, the raised earth, that's where you planted the seed and you've been taking care of it. Could be. Um, I don't, it's fine. The sacral and the solar plexus. I feel like the sacral. Have I had this combination before, or have I seen this combination before? It's like the sacral being where it is, with the solar plexus being where it is. It's like it's time. to focus on doing or creating, and doing things like the solar plexus is all about like sustenance, right? Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, material, like sustaining oneself, right? And when you can sustain yourself, then you are in control of yourself. You're your own master. But if you are overly reliant to a disproportionate degree on something outside of you to sustain you, then it's like you fall under the control of that thing. Or that thing gets more and more control of you the more you like rely on this external thing. Doing things that sustain that creation, doing things that support that creation, which is like stuff like, giving my brain a workout. Also, I mean, it's been I almost want to say decades long. It's been a years long process of like reaching this point, right? And so there's a lot. Again, it's like internally, and like even with Taurus, like when I read Taurus, it was like something like fertile and nutrient dense. It's like the internal soil is very like fertile. It's very nutrient dense. It's like ready for something to grow. And it's like I've been doing so much work like tending the soil and tending the soil. And every now and then, like, I'll plant a seed, I'll have a little harvest. But it's like I'm tilling acres and acres and acres and acres of soil. And I'm growing in like a house garden size plot, right? Things that I could grow on a windowsill with these acres and acres and acres that I've been like tending and taking care of. You know what I mean? And again, there's been a lot that I've kind of had to accept, and also things that I've had to work through. And this latest breakthrough makes it easier to just like do whatever, you know, and not be like it. I feel like it's okay to wonder about, it's okay to question, and it's okay to want for something that I invest time, energy, effort, creativity, whatever, into putting out into the world. Like it's okay to want that to be like not abused or misused or whatever. Like it's no longer okay for those potentialities, eventualities, whatever, in the first place. Because if it reaches one person, then it's done more than I can hope or dream. I kind of want to use the SKT. I kind of wanted to like let the program stand as it is, um, but I haven't used the SKT in a minute. Has it been? It's been 8 years since you looked at me. No, no, no. It's been 7. Why did I think it was 2027 for a minute? It's been 7 years since 2019. Because I'm thinking of like the 7 of Swords, right? The 6 of Swords. And so it's like it's getting sword after sword after sword after sword after sword. Every sword is a year. This is the 7th year. So it's the time for the birthright breakthrough. It's taken this long. It's taken as long as it's needed to take. Oh, look, there's the Wheel of Fortune. We just went looking for you. And yeah. I mean, yeah, because the darkest night was 2018, but 2019 was the start of like intentional 2019, like from 2018, end of 2018 to 2019, that like 2 month period was like a ramp up. It was like year zero. You know what I mean? So yes, we included and yes, we counted, but at that point, like, you know, King of Swords and the Emperor. I think that was the King of Swords and the Two of Swords. The Hermit and the Emperor, giving Mars Virgo energy. The Hermit and the Moon, Pisces Virgo. There she is. That is over. I was thinking about that actually because um, I didn't flip the Seven of Swords. The Two of Swords is in between the Seven of Wands and the Mother of Cups, and it is the eclipse. Um, Father of Cups is at the bottom of the deck. Three of Swords is in between and the Ten of Wands, cutting through the thicket, cutting through the bramble, cutting through the briar, the bush. Um, what was I saying? I was thinking about, yeah, because it's because of the energy of like almost just like deeply subtle, like these deeply subtle forces rising, or these like deeply subtle changes and shifts, and how profound. Seven of Swords is in between the Seven of Pentacles and the Daughter of Pentacles. We'll flip that. Under the Daughter, before the Seven of Pentacles is the Father of Pentacles. The Daughter and the Father of Pentacles. What an interesting. In the Witch's Tarot, is it the Seven of Swords in the Page of Pentacles in the Witch's Tarot? Which is also a cautionary tale. Maybe I need to be more aware. Last one. The Star and the Two of Pentacles. I'll do one of these and a cut. Yeah. So again, there's been like, it seems like a lot of energy that's very like things happening in extremely subtle ways, and it being possible for there to be like these large it'll pay off in large ways. And I'm like, it kind of makes sense. So in that way, when the North Node was in Pisces and the South Node was in Virgo, it was a time and opportunity for us to draw close to the divine and to like learn discernment, but also to fine tune that connection. And so, like, what we gained or how we've evolved and become more sensitive or aware or whatever during that North Node, Pisces, South Node, Virgo is going to serve us very well, according to the energy. And this North Node, Aquarius, South Node, Leo, because now we'll be able to like tune into and stick with the energy. Because there may be like a whole bunch of stuff that's not necessarily said, but you know, we've learned to, I don't know, read between the lines and whatever. The fox was in between the camel and the spider. The golden egg is at the cut with the gazelle. The rabbit is at the cut with the golden egg. She's giving Easter. The horse is at the cut with the rabbit. There is a year of the rabbit, right? She's giving Chinese zodiac. I guess the horse is at the cut with the fox because it's flipped over. And one more. The horse is at the cut with the elephant. I love the horse at the cut with the elephant. Elephant, remover of obstacles. The horse, movement. The rabbit just flipped over. So be mindful. That's for me. To be. Am I going to pull before and after the rabbit, or are we just acknowledging the rabbit? Oh, that's interesting. No, there's 3 cards. First, I thought it was only like 2 cards between the rabbit and the fox. I was like, oh, they're connected, but there's actually. Am I pulling all of these animals? Sure. We'll pull before and after the fox, before and after the rabbit, and the animal that bridges them. Bottom of the deck is the bee. I see the bee and the eagle. The beagle. Speaking of the beagle, when I was younger, I used to have like some kind of animal magnetism that I do not have anymore. That I feel like I haven't possessed for. I guess I take it back. Like, so there's like this park, not an like a state park. We have a few state parks nearby, and like a conservation area where they have like turkeys and like an owl and some like other animals. And it's like it's a really popular elementary school, middle school, like field trip destination. Like you go out and you learn about, nature. We were out there one day because when I was younger, we used to like just go out to the parks. It was back in the day where, you weren't on your tablets or your cell phones or your gadgets and gizmos to go outside. And, I had my Game Boy, my Game Boy Color until the battery died. And, if it wasn't so bright, then I couldn't see the screen. But anyway, we were out at one of the state parks one time, and there was a beagle, and like it was just like a wild beagle that was out there. It was very friendly, and of course we couldn't take it home. But that was after I had seen the movie Shiloh, which is a story about a beagle. That's all I remember. And I remember there was another day I was in kindergarten. I had a really, 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 really rough day at school, and I got off the bus and there was this golden retriever that was there, and it followed me all the way home. Then I never saw it again. um but the bee, the eagle, it I guess it that there's always been times, and it's like in times especially where things were like difficult or challenging, there's always been, until my darkest night, there had always been um something that like lifted me out of the darkness, as much as it could. And then sometimes you just have a experience with a random animal when you're out at the park for hours and hours and hours and you're ready to go home because you ain't outside, folk. You got allergies and other stuff. Anyway, cool. So we have the otter, the fox, the deer. So the deer and the otter are surrounding the fox. And then we have the cobra. When the master and the student is ready, the master appears. And then with the rabbit, we have the gazelle, rabbit, and the elephant. The gazelle elephant. Whoa, there's the elephant again. Remover of obstacles. That's so funny. I was just, what did I say to Rain? Why am I drawing a blank? I feel like there are people in my life who pour into me, and then when I'm ready, when I become less stubborn, or when I reach the point of like if I were to think anymore, it would go beyond the point of just being detrimental. It would become catastrophic. And okay, I got to do something. So, like, there are several people who, again, I guess, like, going back to that animal magnetism of like when I really need something or someone, like somebody is there. And then also going back to me, like, being inspired by people. Like, there are people that inspire me in ways that, like, life makes a twist or a turn or enters a sort of pause, and like I get to say something, do something, blah blah blah, whatever. And I have like these people who have taken inspiration, like who inspire me to do whatever, right? Like, I remember in the early days, because I've been this way for a while. I've gotten a lot better at and doing more. Um, but I remember, like, with my journey buddy in the first phase, it had to be early 2019, because we had already found Abraham Hicks. And I'm pretty sure Abraham Hicks was like December 20, January 2019. Um, and like, again, like, I'm doing a whole bunch of internal stuff, not necessarily doing anything externally. She is she's also doing a bunch of internal stuff, but also doing a lot of like external stuff. Like, she's out in the world doing stuff. I'm in my room. And there would be like we would talk, and we're journey buddies. So we, when we were both early in our journey, we, like, there was a lot of like confirmation and synchronicity and affirmation of the work being done. And she would share things with me, and like I would see, I was like, okay, so the work works. Because if I look at my situation, it's like it hasn't changed, but I also knew that it didn't change for a reason, because I sometimes struggle, or more so struggled back then, to have the presence of mind to keep doing the work, but also do things outside, right? Like, if I would have started working, if I was in school, if I was enrolled, like, life would have taken so much of my time, energy, effort, and attention that I wouldn't have had anything to invest in me. And it was a time for me to invest in me. And so, because it was a time for me to invest in me, and because I'm so easily distracted by other things, all of the distractions had to go, because it was a time for me to invest in me. And so I would talk to her, or in speaking to her, I would be like, okay, like, the stuff works. So it's not that I necessarily like needed the encouragement at that point, because like it was so early and so fresh, and I was right in the high of like, I'm gonna change my life. But it's like I've always had it. It's been this constant stream of whatever. And I feel like that's the way things kind of go. It's like, before I'm in the moment where I need something, I have the people that I've been inspired by, who have shown up in their lives and shown up in their journeys, who are authentically themselves, so that when I reach the point, it's like it's already like I've seen the example, I know what to do, I know how to do it. It's just like it's time to show up. And I kind of love that the rabbit is here, because there are a few things. Again, it's not to the point where it's going to, like, I'm at the point where I can't allow fear or anxiety to stop me from doing whatever I know it's time for me to do. Like, I'm beyond the point where I can let those things stop me. But that doesn't mean that I don't still like feel anxious about this or that or whatever. And I feel like that's like why the gazelle and the elephant are next to the rabbit. The gazelle representing like all of the people who like inspired me, and then the elephant almost representing like the ways that that spark has been like tended to and kept alive. I guess that's interesting. Oof, I don't know how I feel about that. Because if I'm looking at this elephant, it's almost like the trunk of the elephant was hiding this fire, but now it's moving its trunk and it's like almost presenting this like if I am the fire, a low key, right? I remember when I hit like I feel like a lot of people hit subscriber milestones and like, ooh, I hit subscriber milestones. I'm like, oh my gosh, why are these people? Why are there more eyes on me? Why are you tuning in? Why are you watching? Who are you? It's just like I'll do my own thing and not necessarily. I mean, I'm gonna keep doing my own thing. You know what I mean? Like that's not gonna change. But I don't know. And I guess if I think about it too, and I think this is something that I've confronted in the past 2 years. More specifically, something I've confronted within roughly the past year, maybe. Yeah, yeah, the past year to year and a half. Not roughly the past year. Something I've been confronting is like there are. It's almost like I guess if I had to, I don't even know how I would describe it. Like if I have anxiety and if I have desire, right? A lot of times it's like I had more anxiety than desire. And so like there's a lot of stuff I wouldn't do and haven't done. But it's like at some point it's like it almost switched and it's like that I have more desire to do things than I have anxiety around doing them. But it's almost like it happened in a like inconspicuous way. And so there have been times where it's like it's not until like I'm actively in this situation or environment for a period of time, then my anxiety catches up with me. And it's not necessarily anxiety, it's more so like all of the things that all of the that old stuff that's like way back there, it would kind of like creep up all of a sudden and I'm like, whoa, it's like, what are you doing? You know? And then of course that's a moment for me to consciously go like I'm not where I used to be and I'm not who and how, and it's an opportunity to like let go of the thing. And again it's like life happened so fast and I was just so in the moment that I didn't even catch it when it happened, type energy. um and I feel like this very much so plays into the otter and the deer. Mm. I'm curious to see. Ooh, look, the Seven of Swords is like right at the top of the deck. I'm curious to see what comes out over here. I feel like I was bamboozled. I was tricked into healing. The Nine of Pentacles, the Seven of Swords, and the Seven of Pentacles. Didn't we see the Nine of Essences? We saw the Nine of, not Essences, the Nine of Realms yesterday. We saw the Nine of Pentacles yesterday. And it represented like pretty much as we can get out of life without deeply authentically engaging certain mental, emotional, spiritual elements. Wow. You ever feel tricked? Have you ever felt deceived, bamboozled, lied to? I feel like lying is a bit extreme. I feel like I was definitely tricked. I was definitely deceived. I definitely feel bamboozled. Because it reads like with the otter and the deer before the fox. It's like the deer is me, and this like caution, wariness, overthinking, anxiety spiraling, depression spiraling myself into places I don't want to be and out of the places I do want to be. And it almost reads like this whole thing was an elaborate ploy to get me. Because I feel like the people that know me, and even some of the people that watch me, like wouldn't be surprised to know how carefree and fun loving I am. You know what I mean? And I just feel like there's been so much that I've had to worry about for so long that even though I've had like moments of being that carefree whatever, and it's funny that the dreams come into play because there are so many different threads of dreams right now. It's too much almost. But there is a consistent thread that's like inner child. Um, there are other threads, but there is like an inner child thread that's also like woven in there. And actually, within the past week, I didn't record them, so I don't know when. I had a dream. I've met my inner child a few times in dreams. Last time, like there was a full acknowledgement. I feel like usually it's kind of just like whatever. It's not necessarily attached to reality, meaning like the things that I went through or experienced or felt as a kid. But the last time, it's like I met child me, and there were things. Ooh, I feel like it's been a minute since I got necessarily emotional on this channel. I feel like I used to cry on this channel all the time. Seriously, girl, there was a point. Um, but it was like I feel like that was the first time I saw myself, and it was like a full acknowledgement, and it was interesting because like he was running away from me. And if I think about like where I am in life and where I'm going, it makes sense because I represent like a life, like I've done so many things that he never would have thought he would be able to do, and I've relinquished like barriers and walls, and I've allowed myself to like grow close to people in ways that he never would have. And yeah, it was just weird because it was like I saw him and I went to approach him, and then like he was avoiding me, and I had to like catch him, and I'm like, hey, like I understand like how you feel, what you think, and you believe the thing. Like I understand why you believe you have to make the choices, decisions, and navigate life the way that you're choosing to, but you don't have to. And for me to get to the point where I say that to me, and it's like with the elephant and the gazelle around the rabbit again, like I've been fortunate throughout my life. I've been fortunate to always have people who like saw me, believed in me, and spoke to what they saw and believed in me. I've always had people in my life who speak a narrative to me that's different than the one that I speak about myself to me. And so, like, for me to be the person saying that to me was like wild. I feel like I had the dream. I woke up. I ain't even, again, I didn't journal it. I didn't talk about it. I feel like I didn't really dig into it. Because in the dream, I'm just like, why are you like running away? But now, especially seeing all this, like, I get it. It's taken a lot. It's like, and like, I am kind of Tory and stubborn, you know? It's almost like sometimes it has to be an elaborate ruse, right? Like if I'm that fussy child that doesn't like vegetables, and so you have to like make a, I don't know, black bean burger or something. And then you're like, here, Patrick, eat this. And I'm like, this is tasty. Where did this burger come from? And you're like, it's vegetables. And I'm like, oh, no. Betrayal. Like, and like, again, within the past, like, year and a half, it was definitely one of those moments where it's like, it's almost like there were moments where the anxiety or the fears or those old beliefs would catch up to me after I'm already living life. And then, of course, it's like I have no choice but to let it go. Not only because I know that that's not true, but because I'm already living life on the other side of it. And I don't want to go back. I can't go back. You know what I mean? Hello? Wow. Mm. So now I almost feel like this Nine of Swords is like all of those knights that were that Nine of Swords. And that gives this a context, like a different context, tapping into the other side. Like this is the other side of all of those fears and worries and anxieties. Like I'm already on the other side of those, and I'm not even done. Some would say I've barely begun. Like it feels like all of this was to get to the starting goal, because all of this was just for me to allow myself more access to larger and truer things, opportunities beyond what I would have imagined or thought for me, and opportunities that like speak to the truth of like who I am and what I want to do. You know what I mean? In whatever way, what I believe. Wow. Turns out there's a lot of medicine that I've been ingesting with those spoonfuls after spoonfuls of sugar, taking advantage of my sweet tooth. Bottom of this deck is the Ten of Swords. The Ten of Swords and the Ten of Zones. The Ten of Swords, and look, it's a bull. That stubborn part of me, the part that resisted, it was necessary. I think that's also something that I realized pretty early in my journey, that like because I am who I am and how I am, and especially as stubborn as I am, um, my journey has to, more so had to look a certain way, right? I couldn't just be presented with options and opportunities and stuff like that, because it would have scared me. It would have freaked me out and I would have backed away, right? And so I had to take a route that was more like a lot of internal working, a lot of healing, a lot of this, and then we, do it. It's like a rehab, physical rehab, right? It's like I got to do a lot of. I can't do my rehab on the fly, just like out there walking. I need to, I got to go in. I got to have somebody walking there with me and like going through this before I go outside and I learn to like, leave the equipment behind. Anyway, Wow. Maybe that makes sense. Because the Seven of Swords, it's the Nine of Pentacles, the Seven of Swords, the Seven of Pentacles. The Seven of Swords sits in the place of the Eight of Pentacles, right? And again, like this birthright is one that is earned or deserved, or one that we have to mature into. And so it's sitting in the place of the Eight of Pentacles when I'm talking about like all of the work that I've had to do to get to this point. It makes sense. I had a very good teacher, a very, very, very good teacher. You could say I had the best teacher because who knows you better than spirit? Who knows you better than the divine that created you? Sometimes, again, we have to be the ones to do whatever. And I had to be the one plenty of times. There's a lot of stuff I did scared. And it's like, if I have to do something scared anyway, I'd rather do the thing that gets me where I want to be. You know what I mean? Like, let your hair down and get your hair done. And let your hair down. You know what I mean? I don't have to be so uptight and always in my head. And again, like, I feel like, yeah, cool. So that's what I got for me. No further divination needed. The card of justice. I feel like the only energy we haven't really touched on is the one of justice. The Ten of Zones and the Two of Essences is almost very like the blueprints are laid out. The framework is there. We're just like someone has to show up with the materials to actually build the thing. And the actual building of the thing is now. But it's required some kind of alignment within me to a lot of things. Like it was the camel and the spider flanking the fox in the beginning. Like the camel is me having enough resources. Like I'm stubborn enough to keep on going. I'm not at the. I still got some fuel left in the tank. Huh. And then the spider is almost like me needing to be at like the center of the web, or at least on the web, so that I can feel the vibrations as things like touch it or whatever. You know what I mean? Anyway, cool. So this is my self read and my thank you to all of those who I've encountered along the way, especially, I'm not going to say especially those that aren't, in my life anymore, but including those who aren't in my life anymore, because, you know, they're all pivotal in ways. And the frog, the oyster, the stingray, the horse, the nightingale, and whatever card is behind the otter. The crow and the deer. The crow and the bee. Sorry, it didn't shuffle. Cool. I feel like, why is this not shuffling? Okay, I'll put these down. Um, Bringing order to thought, proper delegation of tasks, seeing the internal through the external. I feel like that speaks to all that. Prophetic dreams, inspired action, tapping into the other side. I feel like that speaks to where I'm going. Bringing order to thought, proper delegation of tasks, seeing the internal through the external is like what was happening and what's been occurring to get here. And yeah, marching forward into that prosperity, maybe being a little bit more aware of the, you know what, why not? This is as much time, energy, and effort as I'll give. Any envious, it's, I don't know. It's just like, again, like I got too much that I'm already like focused on and worried about, especially you know, if it's just whatever. Two of Swords, Father of Pentacles, Ace of Cups. What's that like? What other people think about me is none of my business or whatever. You know what I mean? And at the bottom of the deck, I've never necessarily been in this situation, but like people who offer unsolicited like opinions or whatever, it's like I don't even know you. Like you're literally nobody to me. Why would I care what you think? Why would you know what I mean? Like I don't know you. I don't know where you come from. I don't know what you've been through. I don't know why your tastes are your tastes. I don't know why you think or feel the way that you think or feel. And it's like, while in general, of course, these are not coming together. Let me see one more time. There we go. While in general, it's not like I dismiss the thoughts and opinions and values of other people, but when it comes to me, I'm like, you know what I mean? That's like if I know you don't know anything about pastries and you sit me down and you tell me everything you know about pastries. Like if I know you don't know nothing, why would I listen? Not why would I listen? Like I'm gonna take it with a grain of salt. I'm gonna take it with the understanding that okay, like you don't know anything about pastries. And if you're a stranger, you don't know nothing about me. You know what I mean? I don't know. Again, I've never been in a situation where someone's come up to me and like confronted me. But it's just like, and who are you? Like, are you an authority on a certain topic or something? Because otherwise, there's a lot of women. Woman holding a heart is next to the woman holding a coin. The only woman that's not there is the thinking woman. Envy. There we go. Well, and again, maybe it's just to like be aware. Oh, look, there's the thinking man with Archangel Ariel, the second chakra, which is, the sacral, and the thinking man. It's like you've thought so much about what you want to do and what you want to create and the direction that you want to move in. So, you do some moving. And then, fuel that, nurture that, support that, do things that support you creating and doing things in the way you want to. That's that sacral and solar plexus. Justice and water. It feels like justice and water fits in with that two of essences, which is like internally aligning to the truth of things and not the old narrative, especially that I used to tell myself about me. I used to have some pretty wild narratives about me. Like, and then I confronted one of my teachers, and I was like, if anybody knows, she should know. And she was like, I never viewed you like that. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, so it was just me? They were like, yeah, girl. Like, hello. Like, nobody is surprised to see the otter come out. Why are you surprised that the cobra has been trying to get you back into your otter energy this whole time? When life is life, and girl, I can't wait. That's one thing I can't wait for, because I feel like there's so much that's almost been compiling. Like as it's been compiling more and more and more, my capacity for other things is like dwindled. And I can't wait to just like, show up in spaces and not have like all of this other stuff on my mind. You know what I mean? To really enjoy time with folks and not be so conscientious about like how much money I'm spending or whatever. You know what I mean? All right. So for the envious folks, I got two cards for you. One of them is F, and you can guess what the second one is. I'm kidding. Bottom of the deck is the angel of balance. And she's got some water something in her hands. Is that justice in Libra? Angel of balance with the water thing. deceit and the world. Envy is in between deceit and the world. I mean, if there were any cards that were like, it's not personal, I feel like it would be these two. Like, it's the way that someone feels about the world at large. And whatever. Like, I'm basically an innocent bystander. As are a lot of people when it comes to envy. You just living your life, minding your business, doing whatever. Or is this telling me to deceive the world? Okay, let's not get crazy. Maybe it is, right? Maybe when things change and things happen, I'm not gonna lie and I'm not gonna be inauthentic. I'm not gonna be on here like, ooh, like still waiting on whatever. If I'm not gonna get on here and lie, but there may be signs. Assume that he's coming to all that prosperity that was coming up for him. And maybe you love it for me. Maybe you're envious. People do envy a lot. I don't know. It's like it's so far outside of me and my wheelhouse that like I'm not so naive that I don't know that like it's a thing. But like I was talking to somebody and they were talking about how like there are so many people that don't know how to or don't believe in or that don't celebrate other people. And so with like a lot of accomplishments and a lot of achievements and a lot of things that, they work hard for, they just don't celebrate or they don't talk about or they hide because of the jealousy and envy and the whatever else of others, the opportunisticness, people like wanting to take advantage or whatever. And I was like, what, really? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, well, you're not that way with me. And he was like, you're not that type of person, so I don't have to be. And I was like, whoa, like I had no clue. I had, it's strange to me. Not that I'm necessarily the type of person to be like out there about everything, you know what I mean? Anyway, all right. Ooh, indecision with second chakra archangel Ariel. It's like, okay, girl, make sure you act now. North Node is in Aquarius. All the stuff you learned while the North Node was in Pisces and the South Node was in Virgo. Now would be the time. So, yeah. Also, I think we have a few weeks left. Like 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks. I feel like it was August 21st of like the phase one, the intro phase to that miracle or whatever. And then until October 21, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Because it was 15 and 6, 8, 9. Yeah. So around October 23rd is when it will like has to play out or whatever, right? Interesting. Cool. All right. Healer of the Ages and Goddess of the Moon. I'm getting final cards now. I am. This is a lot. Sure. We'll start here. Why not? We'll get a final cast. FINALCAST. Because, we got to do final everything. Even though we don't have to do this one. 7 of Wands, 3 of Wands. 7 plus 3 is the 10 of Wands. Interesting. It's just like as an image. To move from the Seven of Wands to the Three of Wands is to like the Three of Wands turns its back on the Seven of Wands. It steps beyond the threshold of those two wands in the foreground, and it prepares its leap or step into the next journey or whatever. A complete set of instructions, a stubborn moth reborn as a firefly, a successful trip. Not me talking about being Turian stubborn, and then a stubborn moth reborn as a firefly. Wait. Also, Taurus is gone. It's null now. The stubbornness is gone. Justice has given way to the magician. We have the water mints of element and air, the elements of water and air. We got the root, and the third eye. Cool. That I Ching number 28 is a mirror. Like if you were to flip lake, it would give you wind. Interesting. And it shifts into I Ching number 47, which is like over water. And that third line changes. Well, I gotta go to the restroom again. I gotta go to the restroom again. I don't know if anyone's going to. I'll be back. I gotta go. Oof. All right, I'm back. So, what was I looking at? Yeah, the Seven of Wands. It turns around. A complete set of instructions. A stubborn moth reborn as its mouth. See, there's a few typos that I didn't catch until these were printed. Obviously, I didn't catch them until they were printed. A stubborn mouth. I mean, hey, maybe I got a mouth on me too. A stubborn moth reborn as a firefly. A successful trip. I'm not gonna look before and after the moth and the firefly because that's a lot of animals. But yeah, yeah. I know it said don't seek any further divination, so maybe I should disregard the I Ching, but it's already here, so we're gonna look on. 28 shifting into 47. We have the magician, the root, the third eye, and water and air. Water and air are also the two that came out, the 10 of air and the 2 of water we've seen. Interesting. I feel like with the root, maybe that I feel like that plays into with the root, third eye, water, and air. I feel like that plays into the naivety that was like until I, because it was, this is a personal read, until I start to put some of this stuff into play and into action, like do that before any further seeking. And it feels like there's an echo of that mirrored here. Like if I am to do and to put in place, like there's something like it would reveal a further understanding, almost in the cases, scenario, situations of like things that are easier to like show. It's very much like I could show you better than I could tell you, or it's like it won't really. It's like it won't make complete sense until you do it. But once you get out there and you do it, then like it'll make sense, right? It's almost like that. A lot of these more recent epiphanies and realizations, and even some ways in which I want to like grow, I have to plant myself first. You know what I mean? For some things, I got to plant myself and grow and then grow, and not just, there's only so much growing I can do within the seed. How about that? Cool. Lake over wind is 28 to 47. Like I said, there will be signs. I'm not saying that my absence would be one sign, but it may be a clue. If that 7 of wands into the 3 of wands, it's like, yeah, I'm done here. Let's do this. 23. So let's go 500. 37. What am I looking for? 28. I'm way off. 28. Undertaking the great tipping point and excessive force. You are the sage who stands independent and fierce, without fear, renouncing the world you knew. So you deceive the world, trick the envious people. The best way to deceive the envious is to deceive the entire world. Tell no one. You are the sage who stands independent and fierce, without fear, renouncing the world you knew. It is a tipping point. You are reaching critical mass, embarking on a great endeavor. You may need to use excessive personal force. You are on a path of transformation. To facilitate that transformation, excessive force may be necessary, though by the laws of nature, there are consequences to the use of excessive force. It is a turning point in your life. A dried poplar yields one final blossom, its last great act before the poplar withers. Interesting how we have the, what did it say? The critical mass. You are reaching critical mass. And that was kind of that energy of like, there's so much internal growth. It's not necessarily like bursting at the seams yet, but it'll get to that point. So it's time to like vent that and start doing some actioning. So yeah, you are reaching critical mass. I think that's, yeah. To facilitate that transformation, excessive force may be necessary. Cool. A dried poplar yields one final blossom, its last great act before the poplar withers. That sticks out to me because, like I said, I just got a little bit more rope, and I did I didn't expect that. Literally went and checked the mail unprovoked, unanticipated, unexpected. I didn't have to do anything. It was already done for me. It was there. And it is kind of sort of feeling like this is the one to like carry me to the starting line, right? If I were to ignore what my intuition and discernment is telling me, if I were to ignore what my own insides are sort of like pushing me towards, if I were to ignore this, and choose not to plant myself or start to move or start to put this emotion, I am not necessarily entitled to any more grace, even though who is entitled to any, right? If we were entitled to it, it wouldn't be grace or mercy. You know what I mean? If it were guaranteed. So, anyway, cool. And that shifts into I Ching number 47. So we add 20 and subtract 1. So it should be 510. Can I do some math? Can I do some math? 47. Woo! I can do some math. Oppression, iron hand, and feeling trapped. A state of inner oppression. You are overwhelmed, unable to cope with your feelings of entanglement. There is indecisiveness, and I did see, was it indecision and the sacral chakra? There is indecisiveness in the face of what you see as your adversity, yet you are being oppressed by that which is not oppressive. You can still prevail in spite of the initial oppression. You are oppressed by bonds that can be broken easily. The oppression is in your mind. Reconcile logic, reason, and rationality with emotional expression, intuition, and spiritual understanding. That's that 10 of zones, 2 of essences, water and air energy. Cool. And again, that's why the rabbit kept coming out, but it was very like, yeah, there are some things that I'm still like nervous about, maybe like anxious and a little bit afraid of, but I'm well beyond the point where I can allow that to stop me from doing what I know is for me to do. So we're just going to have to feel it and keep on pushing, keep on trucking. And that's what this is basically affirming. It's a state of inner oppression. It's pretty much always been a state of inner oppression, which is why the dream, like now reflecting on it, like how significant it was or is for me to be the person saying that to me. Cause like, whoa. Especially like young me that made those choices and decisions based off of his limited emotional capacity and knowing and a bunch of stuff. Cool. Cool, cool. Excuse me. The final animal is, I see the turtle and the tarantula, the turtle-antula, the unicorn and the turtle, the cosmic egg and the turtle. Oh, girl. Okay. I don't have to crack the. Oh, that's the lion. I was gonna say I don't have to crack the cosmic egg. I was bending that a little too hard. One more. No, my sea serpent and the beaver. Clean flipper, clean fall, please. Clean flipper, clean fall, please. Clean flipper, clean fall, please. The rabbit. Really? He's like, yeah, girl. The bottom of the deck is the turtle. See, this is the part where it's like now we're in the actual self-read territory. Because I feel like the rabbit is like, of course it's like doing the things that I've been afraid to do or putting myself out there and not allowing negative self-fulfilling prophecies to come true. But then with the turtle at the bottom of the deck, is it like, yeah, and like come out of your shell? I'm like, ew, like Doing things is one thing, coming out of my shell is something completely different. But I've also, again, like within the past year and a half, I've realized how connected they are. And that was also like, that's what really exacerbated some things. Cause I'm like putting myself out there in terms of like doing this and doing that. Yeah, like, sure, that's fine. But coming out of my shell, like, I got my people that I'm like, I connect with and stuff that I'm good with, but like even more, that's when I was like, ooh, girl, ooh, girl. Yeah, but don't forget to put yourself out there too. I'm like, oh, see, too much. I am beyond the point where I can have the attitude that the divine, the universe is asking for too much out of me to get me to the place where I want to be. You know what I mean? You're asking for too much. You want me to face my fears and come out of my shell? It's one or the other. And I said, no, you're going to do both. And that's not all. The Three of Swords and the Sun. See? This is the dark night. This is the sun. These together, Aksunare. Aksunare is the brilliant dawn, the blinding dawn, where there is light in a place where there was only darkness before. It highlights and illuminates a lot. Ten of Wands and the Three of Swords. The sun is shining through the thicket. Three of Swords and the Three of Pentacles. Together. Together. We just got a few cards that flipped over. Bottom of the deck is the Nine of Pentacles. We got the Seven of Cups, the Devil, and the Six of Wands. Overcoming. Okay, this is the way that, because this was on the top, so this is like the leftmost card. I feel like this speaks to maybe like that coming out of my shell piece almost speaks to the spider. What was that? It was that energy of like, I have to at least be on the web. Almost like I've been doing a great job at living the journey, journeying through life, healing. But it's almost like there's always a part of me, or there's always something that's been reserved. And so to include that piece is to be in the energy of the Six of Wands, transformed in a way that these obstacles can't even touch me. And when I think about the outer, actually, that makes sense. Like, if you were to see me as a kid, like, that's who I was. Before, I'm talking about elementary school, before hormones and teenage years, preteen years, teenage years, and fears and diagnoses and everything else. Wow. Yeah, yeah. Are we getting back to that, girl? I was the type of kid, I became the kid that kept to myself. You know what I mean? I became pretty much that stoic loner guy. But when I was real young, I was like the type of person that, like, if there was a new kid, I would be the first person to like go up to him because I didn't want them to feel like they didn't have like any friends or like they didn't have anybody. You know what I mean? I feel like that was a lot, actually. It's like I didn't want people to feel like they didn't have anybody. And so it kind of broke me sometimes because there were a few kids that like everybody bullied, like literally everybody. I don't know if they had like a single friend. And, I was like, I can't abide by this. I'll be their friend. Yeah. And then life happened and I chose solitude and solitariness and isolation. And I I don't know. 28. I forgot about the second line shifting. So let's read that shifted line. 28 is excess. Line 2. The company we keep can support our naturalness and relaxation, or it can work against it. Of course, the responsibility for any sense of overload is ultimately yours, but perhaps it's time to take a look at your social calendar. Make sure it has space not just for those who can serve your ambitions, but also for the friends and family members who love you just the way you are. That shifting line does hit a little different after seeing that turtle. It's like you don't even know, like all of the friends and important people that you haven't even met yet, that you'll never meet or like grow as deeply with if you stay in your shell. Come out of your shell. And I'm like, maybe it's not that extreme, but you know what I mean? I've met a few cool people. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not really looking for friends right now. Maybe I need to change that. I'm not really looking for anybody right now. Like as I've said, I'm pretty much at capacity. My capacity will increase the more that I do and the less I just sit on stuff. Right. So, but I'll be open. I'm open, I guess. Healer of the Ages. Still at the bottom of the deck. Final Energy Oracle card. Healer of the Ages with community. Aww. Okay. Clean flipper, clean fall. You're the last deck, so I'm gonna just keep going. If you don't want to say anything, then have like indecision come back out, I guess. Or I will do 3, 2, 1. Oh, she's making noise. That's my whole essence, entire being is triggered. Bottom of the deck is Yin Yang, number 22. The card that was making all that noise is number 35. First chakra, Archangel Michael, which is the root. We see the root twice. The reason why I feel like there was a point in time in my life where Archangel Michael sat in a space of like spirit, knowing how strongly averse I am to certain things, and patiently just staring me down. Wouldn't necessarily say nothing, you know. It's one of those like, and I'm like, and I can keep staring. And I'm like, well, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And see, that's the reason why you had to get real clever because I'm stubborn. It was just like, again, it was a point in time that was very like, there were things that I don't necessarily want to say things that I know I needed to do. It was more like destinations, places that the journey would take me to that I was very, very, very like hesitant to move towards. And so I had to do the scenic route. Right. And so to see this turtle with like the open up and like really connecting. And again, there's a part of me that for a while has felt how necessary it is or how ingrained or intertwined it is with whatever comes next for me. And that was fine. And then I kind of started living it a little bit. And then it like freaked me out and I got a little triggered. I took my 2 days to like untangle the mess and to let those old attachments go. And so again, but to like be encountered with this, and then for the final card to be Archangel Michael, first chakra. It wasn't even this deck. There's like the Archangel Power cards. I was like, oh, I haven't used this deck. And that one too. It's a lot of like you know that this is something that you need to do. I'm not gonna tell you to do it, but you know you need to. I know you need to. And it has to be done to get where you're going slash to get where you want to go. So when you're ready, it will be there for you to overcome. And until that point, all the best in your healing. Yeah. But again, root chakra, we see the root chakra here twice. So that's the root chakra coming out, I guess, for a third time. But again, the root to me is kind of reading like, kind of like embodying, right? Like I can only grow so much within the seed as the seed before I plant myself somewhere and then grow roots. And as I'm growing roots, it's the roots that support everything else. How about that? It's literally the roots that support everything else. So there you go. And the root is the first point of support, right? The plant develops a root system before it breaks the soil and forms leaves to participate in that gas exchange. So, yeah, cool. Well, that was a self read to read on me. If you sat through this, thank you. Maybe I don't know, girl. I hope maybe there's something. I don't know. I hope you'll have an amazing whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path, journey, and what you find. Hold up, wait. I'm looking at these wands because with the page of wands, the energy started at where he held it. But with these wands, it goes from the bottom to the top. Excuse me. Speaking of alignment, an alignment is only a part of the equation, right? In that inspired action, aligned action, alignment is like the framework, action is the thing that plants the seed. I don't know. I'm a farmer today, apparently.